check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Check, check, check. Mic check, mic check.
Checking the microphone for the soldier.
Shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ bless. Captain Isaac, along here with
Officer Amiel.
right back at you. Another episode of In the Scripts Reloaded. Tonight we're going to discuss a current movie that's out now that a lot of people are talking about called The First Purge.
The latest Purge.
Yes, The First Purge, which is actually a prequel to all the other purges.
Yes.
So although it's the third one to come out, I believe, it still lines up as being the first because it's a prequel, okay? And who else but none other than to use so-called blacks in this experiment, okay? In this extermination experiment that Esau was pushing.
Whatever they want to do, they experiment on us first. If they want to put out horrible food, they experiment on us first.
Exactly. Whether it's horrible food, organ harvesting, testing new vaccines, and so forth. It always starts off with our people, okay? Because we're considered base. We're the expendables of society, all right? That's what Esau looks at us, okay? We're expendables, okay? So we are the first purge when you watch this movie. And we're going to go into detail in this movie, okay? And we're going to make some correlations with past experiments that happened. Okay, like you had the Tuskegee experiment. Look who they used for that. Okay, they were testing, what was it?
Polio. No, syphilis.
It was a syphilis vaccine, right? And they tested it on our people. They didn't test it on nobody else. They didn't go to the Chinese, the Arab, their fellow compadre Edomites. They came to us and tested it on us. Yeah. Okay, get me Isaiah 29:16.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 16. Bring it out. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay.
See, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. So Esau is the man that turned everything upside down on this earth. That's why it's complete anarchy in some countries. There's chaos everywhere. There's an economic chaos. There's political chaos. We have a nut job in the White House, all right, as the chief of state, the man that's running this country. One hand on Twitter, the other finger on the nuclear missile. So he is a nut job, okay? Everything is out of order because God made this planet Earth for the Israelites to rule. And because we broke his commandments, he has the other nations ruling over us. Our servants are now in the power seat. And you Negroes and Latinos and Native Indians, you have become the servants. Okay? Finish reading that.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 16. Surely your turn of things upside down should be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding?
Jump up to verse 15. That's where I should have started.
Verse 15. Woe unto him, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord.
You notice why it says them? Because when you go to Psalms 83, it gives you a list of nations that came together on one agreement to destroy the nation of Israel. That's why over here, in Isaiah 29:15, it says, woe unto them. It didn't say woe unto him. It said woe unto them, plural. Okay, that's talking about the nations. Come on.
Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they shall say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us?
And it says, their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? Like at the time when they were doing the Tuskegee experiment. Nobody knew that they was running around testing blacks for syphilis and infecting them with syphilis. We never knew that. Who would have thought? The blacks back then, the Negroes back then that participated in this experiment,
they didn't know.
They didn't know that. They were doing it for health benefits. Some of them were getting, a little bit of money on the side.
Yeah.
Then you have many other experiments that Esau has done to our people that we don't know about. All these things are being revealed as time goes on, as we get closer to the return of the Messiah, the Most High is slowly revealing everything. So what? So we can know that that's the man of perdition. That is the Lucifer in Isaiah the 14th chapter. That man, that's the son of the wicked right there. Okay? The so-called white man. Okay, so back to this Purge movie. So this is a spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. You have time to turn to something else or turn this off because this is going to be a spoiler alert warning. Okay, this was an experiment. Let me show you something. This was an experiment done on so-called blacks and Latinos in a predominantly black, because New York is a large black metropolis, especially the boroughs. Okay, Staten Island is full of so-called black people.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is where they decided to run this test. All right, let's start off with one scene. Scroll down. All right, so I was able to. Damn, it's not it. No, scroll down. Scroll down. It's the scene with the reporter. Scroll down. Okay, press play real quick. Let me see if that's it. But
many are wondering if they'll participate. Many citizens are leaving.
no, they're in Staten Island there. No, it's another one. Scroll down, keep scrolling. Let's. All right. Yes, okay. So let me bring you guys up to speed. Spoiler alert once again. So the movie is based in Staten Island. It's in the projects.
Yeah.
Okay? Once again, it's in the projects. We are that projects. We are that project. That's why we make up the majority of the projects, all right? This is where all the experiments go on with our people. Okay? So the people that you see on the screen now, they're online to go to participate, to get interviewed, to participate in what's the Purge, where they give you a 24-hour period to murder, to kill, homicide, whatever you could think of. Whatever evil you could think of, they give you 24 hours to do it, to get it out your system. Because you probably had it in your system for all this time, all that stress building up. Now you can go and relieve your stress by killing your brother or sister.
And if you didn't have it, they suggested that you had it. Exactly.
There was an award. They were giving people money in this thing. All right. So the interviewer, the journalist, is going to interview two Edomites who spearheaded this Purge campaign. Okay. Go ahead. Put the volume up if you can. Wow, it's low. So this was recorded. I had to record this on my phone because the Purge movie's not out yet. So. There we go. Better.
Purge was analyzed for years. We allowed island citizens to vote on participation. They voted yes. Yeah, and you know why? Because a lot of those people felt coerced by the fact they don't have money and you're offering
So
money.
press pause real quick. So he said it right there. He said, we allow people to go out and participate in this Purge. The journalist, the black journalist right here, he's actually a real journalist in real life for CNN, I think. So he said, hey, you coerce them into doing this because you bribed them with money. You offered them money, and you know these people are poor. So this is why they chose this specific demographic of people in Staten Island.
The thing that I could not get was before this day where you got the Purge actually about to happen, where the news reporters come out, people are gathered to protest. What could have been the conditioning process that led up to that day?
Oh, we're going to touch that. Okay. We're going to touch on that because remember I said they went to the projects in Staten Island.
Yeah.
And if brothers and sisters, you're not aware of Staten Island, it's one of the boroughs in New York where there's one way in and one way out. Okay? If those of you who lived in projects before, you're on top of your neighbor. You got a whole bunch of people living closely, tight to each other, on top of each other, full of stress, full of wrath, envy, hatred.
On top of somebody,
and then you're just on top of it. That's like taking a whole bunch of rats and throwing them inside of a cage somewhere. Eventually, those rats are going to start to turn on each other, especially if you throw a little bit of food in there, So that's the situation with our people in the projects. That's why they chose this place as the plot. All right, press play.
What do you say to the lower income people who are out here risking their lives? As with any scientific trial, those who participate receive payment. Now, I'm going to turn to you, Dr. Updale. You are the behavioral
So this
scientist.
lady right here, she's the psychologist. She's just thinking, all right, this is just going to be an experiment and so forth. That's it. All right, go ahead.
Actually came up with this whole experiment. A lot of people have a lot of concerns about this, and one concern comes up over and over again. I want the truth from you. Is the purge a political device?
I do not work for the NFFA. I do not conceive of the experiment for them. The NFFA has the courage to test it, but the conceit is not a political one. It is a psychological one. The benefit of acting violently.
So she's saying it's a psychological experiment, like many other experiments. We're going to touch on two in particular tonight, okay? That's been used to shape the minds of our people, whether it be with economics, criminal behavior, or any form of psychology. These experiments was used on our people. Come on.
Worry of consequence, that's a freeing violence.
Freeing violence. Okay, that's a new one on me. I have a question for you. What is your definition of success?
The level of participation in certain areas.
So this Edomite right here, who turned out to be the devil that the Bible speaks of, he said, the journalist asked him, what is your definition of success? And he said the high participation rate.
Wow.
Okay, come on.
The Park Hill Towers, for example, are the center of this community. If there's considerable
So stop. He said something towers. He was making reference to one of the projects. He said that is the focus of this community. Basically, this is where they were focusing the experiment on, were these projects right here. All right, just like that project in Chicago. What was the name of it?
Cabrini Green.
Cabrini Green, right?
Cabrini Green.
Cabrini Green. And there was a lot of evil. Lord willing, in the future, we're going to go over that. Ooh. There was a lot of evil that was coming up out of that. And that was an experiment. Because now there's no Cabrini Green no more. Nah. Didn't Esau take that down?
I don't know if they tore it down or not. I know it shut down for a long time.
Yeah, they shut it down. I think they tore it down, and now Esau is trying to rebuild real estate in that area and rebuild it for his profit.
If you never read the book, The Horror of Cabrini Green, gird yourself up. Gird yourself up and get the book.
Yeah, we're going to have to touch on that thing. All right, go ahead, press play.
I think that'll be a strong indication that this night is a great success.
We'll see.
All right, so that's the end of it. You can close that out. Okay. Now, like I said, the female right there, that was the psychologist, and that dude right there, the other Edomite in the picture, he was one of the CEOs of the organization. Okay. Get me what I just sent to Soldier Jonathan. Let's start with the Skinner's project first. No, that's Milgram experiment. That's something else. B.F. Skinner. Okay, remember the Bishop Nathaniel had brought this out in one of his classes. All right, the title is Why B.F. Skinner May Have Been the Most Dangerous Psychologist Ever. Come down. Remember, a lot of these experiments that come out from these different psychologists or scientists, a lot of times they're passed down. They're passed down. It's a committee that sets up. A committee comes together. They come together on one common ground, just like in Psalms 83, with one agenda, okay? To test out a certain hypothesis, to come out with a certain conclusion of the matter. And then those notes are passed down through generations and generations. And what they do is they see how can they expound on the experiment result. Yeah. How can we make this result better? Okay? And, of course, to do that, you're going to need a certain demographic.
You know what happened? A good example of that on a small scale, the movie Trading Places.
Trading Places, right?
Yeah, because they did the experiment, and I bet you $1 I can take him from out the ghetto, anybody out the ghetto, and change his life. Just it was the what's the term? Nurture or conditioning or something like that. Nature or nurture. They wanted to see which one would win out. That's the same thing you're going into.
See? All right, so I'm going to read it. It says, B.F. Skinner gave us concepts like conditioned behavior. Conditioned behavior. It's the same thing you see in the projects. The reason brothers and sisters are so violent in the projects because it's been a conditioned thing. Our behavior, the way we're acting, is a conditioned thing. When you take a people that's been brutalized, that's been oppressed, afflicted for so long, guess what? They're going to act it out in their behavior. They're going to walk around like, I don't give a damn. Okay? Because we've been conditioned to think like that. All right? It says, B.F. Skinner gave us concepts like conditioned behavior, positive reinforcement, and even timeouts for children. But he was also a radical among psychologists who cast aside notions of dignity and free will. Here's why Skinner continues to be relevant and even a bit dangerous. Though not as famous as some of his forebearers and contemporaries, such as Sigmund Freud, and we all know who Sigmund Freud is. We all had to read a lot of those textbooks in high school going on to college, especially if you were majoring or minoring in any form of sociology or psychology. The next one is Ivan Pavlov and Jean Piaget, Harvard psychologists. B.F. Skinner, 1904-1990, forever changed the way we study and understand human behavior. His legacy reaches far and wide, influencing and inspiring such domains as child rearing, experimental psychology, behavioral therapy, management, education, and self-help. Go down. That's the devil right there. Look at his face. Looking
like he up to something.
Looking like the CEO of Purdue Chicken. Remember that dude?
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Dangerous ideas. Ultimately, however, his most cogent contribution to psychology is the understanding that we do is largely a function of the consequences of our behavior. Thoughts, emotions, and actions, said Skinner, are exclusively products of the environment. And he was able to come up with these conclusions because he tested pigeons in the Skinner box. He also tested mice and rats in the Skinner box. Okay, and that box is just like the projects. It's the same thing. It parallels the projects because the projects is a box.
The box was made a certain way. The projects are made a certain way.
Exactly. His behaviorism was a deterministic behavioralism, one that considered free will an illusion, an assumption that inspired him to write Walden II, a book that described a utopian and quasi-totalitarian society predicated on the principles of positive and negative reinforcements. So the positive and negative reinforcements we could see in this movie Purge.
Yes.
Okay, what's the positive reinforcement? They had a kickback. They got money. Some people were let out of jail early to participate in the purge. Okay, another positive reinforcement was the releasing of your stress.
Yes.
Okay, because your dopamine or whatever feel-good hormones that we have in our body would skyrocket if they participated in this murder.
You could finally release.
Exactly. Now, the negative reinforcement is that you killing your own people. You're going to be put to death, and there's a good possibility that you might not survive the purge because everybody's armed.
Or your loved one might get put to death.
Exactly. All right. What did I leave off at? Which one? What's more, he grossly underplayed the role of biology in forging and regulating human behavior, dismissing the burgeoning fields of behavioral genetics, evolutionary psychology, and cognitive science. Skinner argued that humans don't really think, that they merely respond to environmental cues.
That's true.
And that's 100% correct. That is 100% correct. He came up with various therapeutic techniques, including operant conditioning, which, while beneficial for the treatment of disorders like phobias and addictions, have proven extremely problematic for the treatment of autism and homosexuality. Taken together, it's clear that his ideas, if applied in the way he envisioned, would likely cause more problems than they would solve. But not to throw Skinner out with the bathwater. Many of his ideas continue to be helpful and even insightful given the biases of current times. Down. Environment is everything. That's why in the movie Purge, brothers and sisters, the first Purge, they were in New York, right?
Yeah.
They didn't go to Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. They didn't go to Dyker Heights. They didn't go to Park Slope. They didn't go to Clinton Hills. They went right to the projects in Staten Island. They went where the people are experiencing depression, stress, poverty, and hatred for their brother. Okay? Environment is everything. B.F. Skinner emerged at a time when Freudian psychoanalysis was flourishing, going against the grain, and building upon the theories of Ivan Pavlov and John B. Watson. He put forth some of the most elegant and concise theories on animal and human behavior seen to that point. All right, so I believe this is the Skinner's box that we're looking at. Okay? His studies on the connection between stimuli and observable behavior in rats led to his famous Skinner box, an enclosure equipped with levers, electrified floors, and food pellets, allowing for the precise measurement and control of experimental conditions. Skinner actually hated the term Skinner box, preferring instead operant conditioning chamber. This also not to be confused with so-called baby in a box, temperature-controlled enclosures in which babies were placed for training purposes and to ease the burdens on parents.
Wow.
That's wicked as hell. Freeze the baby. All right. His animal research was predicated on the importance of consequences, especially rewards and punishments. By breaking tasks down into smaller and smaller parts and rewarding success on those parts, he was able to facilitate behavioral change in animals. We're the animals.
Yep.
Okay? Behavioral change in animals, including those that weren't natural or instinctual, like ping pong, playing birds, and piano, playing cats. He was so successful in this that he managed to convince the military to fund his research, namely Operation Pigeon, the idea of training pigeons to guide bombs and torpedoes. Wow. Skinner argued that humans were no different, that they could, that's why they usually test vaccines on rats and so forth, okay? Because to these scientists, humans are no different, all right? That they could be trained through the delivery of new subject matter in a series of graduated steps with feedback at each stage. Changes in behavior, said Skinner, was simply the result of a person's response to events occurring in their environment. Nothing more, nothing less. This could apply to everything from the way we define a word, the way we perceive a spider, or how we go about solving a math problem. All right? Okay. All right. You could close that out. Let's go to the next experiment. Let's go to the next experiment. So what was his conclusion? What was his conclusion? You have a whole bunch of people, like how he had the mice, put them in a box.
Yep.
You had negative and positive reinforcements.
Yep.
Okay? He had a shock floor to control certain behavior. It's the same thing we see going on in the projects or going on in this movie, The First Purge. All right? If you have anything to bring out, Emil, go ahead and bring it out about the movie.
When you watch the movie The First Purge, the one thing that sticks out to you is that, like the captain said, if you ain't seen it, then sorry. But one of the things that sticks out is that when interviewing the people, they said, okay, well, we'll give you $5,000. Now remember, it's on an island. All right, so they're like, well, we'll give you $5,000 if you stay. But if you want to go out and earn some extra money, we'll pay you extra if you want to kill somebody. Then here they come, well, with the conditioning, like, well, you know you want to get caught up on your bills.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get out the ghetto. You need the money for this, that, and the third. You also something you want to add, officer? But it's the same thing that they do to us today. They put us in certain situations like, well, you could move, but we'll lower the rent. You could move, but we'll give you the food stamps. You could move, but if you stayed here, we'll make certain adjustments to ease your stay in a certain condition. So it's the same thing that they've been doing since a long time. I don't know how long, but it's been
a very
going on
long
for a
time.
while.
All right, so this next experiment we have, okay, we're just showing you Esau's track record for experimenting on people, okay? And a lot of his test subjects was us, okay? So it's no different from the Purge movie, okay? This is called the Milgram experiment. The Milgram experiment on obedience to authority figures was a series of social psychology experiments conducted by Yale University psychologist Stanley Milgram. They measured the willingness of study participants, men from a diverse range of occupations with varying levels of education, to obey an authority figure. To obey an authority figure.
Yeah.
So they wanted to see how you would react to authority, okay? Who instructed them to perform acts conflicting with their personal conscience or their moral values, just like in the Purge.
Yeah.
Just like in the Purge. All right, the murder on the Purge night, that was against a lot of people's moral values. But because authority came through, the white man, Esau, and said, hey, we'll give you $5,000, we'll give you $10,000. All you have to do is participate in the Purge.
Yeah.
Whether you kill 1 people, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, all you got to do is kill and participate. Okay?
And they only went to certain people to even offer that. Because remember, when you watch the movie, everybody that stayed on the island, they was going to get the $5,000 just for staying on the island. But the ones that were selected to receive extra money for purging or killing, those were the ones that did the interview.
Yes.
It was only a select few. The same way they do with what's the brother name? Ricky Ross, Freeway Ricky Ross. I'll let you slide on selling dope, but only you. Everybody else, they can sell dope, but we're gonna get them. You see what I'm saying? Certain people, they say, well, we're gonna give you extra money for going killing. Not everybody, but you. If you do this for us, then you good.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's read on. It said, to obey an authority figure who instructed them to perform acts conflicting with their personal conscience. Participants were led to believe that they were assisting an unrelated experiment in which they had to administer electric shocks to a learner. Okay, and the learner were different individuals. So basically, when they got a question wrong, they would administer a shock. Okay, and the shock kept on getting worse and worse and worse. So it would go from 9 volts to 100 volts to all the way up. These fake, but they were fake. These fake electric shocks gradually increased to levels that would have been fatal had they been real. So the participants, the actual people that they were shocking, they knew that they was in a shock. They were really testing the people that the authority went to and gave them permission to shock the people. You understand what I'm saying?
Interesting.
All right, no, it sounds like a tongue twister. Just bear with me. The experiment found unexpectedly that a very high proportion of men would full obey the instructions, albeit reluctantly. Meaning, although it went over their moral values and they felt conflicted about it in their mind, they would still go in and administer the shock because authority told them they could.
Wow.
Milgram first described his research in a 1963 article in the Journal of Abnormal and Social Psychology, and later discussed his findings in a greater depth in his 1974 book, Obedience to Authority, an Experimental View. The experiments began in July 1961 in the basement of Lindsley Chittenden Hall at Yale University. 3 months after the start of the trial of German Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann in Jerusalem, Milgram devised his psychological study to answer the popular contemporary question: could it be that Eichmann and his million accomplices in the Holocaust were just following orders? So that was the test subject, okay? Yeah. They were talking about World War II. Were they just simply following the orders of Adolf Hitler? Could we call them all accomplices? The experiment was repeated many times around the globe with fairly consistent results. Go down.
So they went out doing this thing on purpose to see if they can get the same results.
Look at that. Just the same way. Look, public announcement. Look at that article to the right where it says, we will pay you $4 for 1 hour of your time. Hey, look, 1963, $4 was a lot at that time for just 1 hour. You know, so a lot of people participated in this. Just like today, a lot of you Negroes online and Latinos, you open up the newspapers. What's the name of the newspaper out here in Texas, in Dallas?
Dallas Morning News.
There we go. Or the Observer. You'll open these things. You'll see these ads. Come and test this pill for 1 day, and you'll foolishly do it. Why? Because of the positive reinforcement, that being money.
Either that or they get you walking through the mall.
Exactly. A lot of you willingly will subject your body to these tests that you see in these ads. Don't do that. Do not do that. All right? It says the procedure. 3 individuals took part in each session of the experiment. The experimenter who was in charge of the session, the teacher, a volunteer for a single session. The teacher was led to believe that they were merely assisting, whereas they were actually the subject of the experiment. The learner, an actor, and a confederate of the experimenter who pretended to be a volunteer. So the people that were getting shocked were the learners. Okay? The subject and the actor arrived at the session together. The experimenter told them that they were taking part in a scientific study of memory and learning to see what the effect of punishment is on a subject's ability to memorize content. The subject and actor drew slips of paper to determine their roles. Unknown to the subject, both slips said teacher. The actor would always claim to have drawn the slip that read learner, thus guaranteeing that the subject would always be the teacher. Scroll down. Next, the teacher and learner were taken into an adjacent room where the learner was strapped into what appeared to be an electric chair. The experimenter told the participants this was to ensure that the learner would not escape. In one version of the experiment, the confederate was sure to mention to the participant that he had a heart condition. At some point prior to the actual test, the teacher was given a sample electric shock from the electroshock generator in order to experience firsthand what the shock that the learner would supposedly receive during the experiment would feel like. The teacher and learner were then separated so that they could communicate but not see each other. The teacher was then given a list of words pair that he was to teach the learner. The teacher began by reading the list of word pairs to the learner. The teacher would then read the first word of each pair and read 4 possible answers. The learner would press a button to indicate his response. If the answer was incorrect, the teacher would administer a shock to the learner, with the voltage increasing in 15-volt increments for each wrong answer.
Wow.
If correct, the teacher would read the next word pair. The subjects believed that for each wrong answer, the learner was receiving actual shocks. In reality, there were no shocks. After the learner was separated from the teacher, the learner set up a tape recorder integrated with the electroshock generator, which played pre-recorded sounds for each shock level. As the voltage of the fake shocks increased, the learner yelled and protested louder, and later banged repeatedly on the wall that separated him from the teacher. When the highest voltages were reached, the learner felt silent. Scroll down. Scroll down. Results. Let's get to the results. Results down. So, all right. In Milgram's first set of experiments, 65% of experiment participants administered the experiment's final massive 450-volt shocks. And all administered shocks at least 300 volts. Subjects were uncomfortable doing so and displayed varying degrees of tension and stress. These signs included sweating, trembling, stuttering, biting their lips, groaning, digging their fingernails into their skin, and some were even having nervous laughing fits or seizures. Every participant paused the experiment at least once to question it. Most continued after being assured by the experimenter. Some say they would refund the money they were paid for participating. Although they did this, they still carried on with the violence.
Yeah.
They still carried on with the violence. Why? Because authority told them they could. Okay, close this out. Let's get the video on the Milgram's experiment. The video on right here, okay? Brothers and sisters, following online, it's 5 minutes, so please bear with us. We're drawing parallels between these different experiments and the First Purge movie. Yes, sir.
When I learn of incidents such as the massacre of millions of men, women, and children perpetrated by the Nazis in World War II, how is it possible, I ask myself, that ordinary people who are courteous and decent in everyday life can act callously, inhumanely, without any limitations of conscience? Now, there are some studies in my discipline, social psychology, that seem to provide a clue to this question.
Remember, the reason you see Adolf Hitler is because their primary objective was to test how people would react to given the right by authority to inflict pain on other people. So they were basically testing it because of what happened in World War II, okay, with Adolf Hitler and his soldiers, all right? When he gave them permission to go into the concentration camps, do what they did there in the gas chambers, supposedly, and other crimes that was committed in World War II. Go ahead.
What I wanted to study was a little different. It went a little bit further. It was the issue of authority. Under what conditions would a person obey authority who commanded actions that went against conscience? These are exactly the questions that I wanted to investigate at Yale University. It is May 1962. An experiment is being conducted in the Elegant Interaction Laboratory at Yale University. The subjects are 40 males between the ages of 20 and 50 residing in the greater New Haven area.
Psychologists have developed several theories to explain how people learn. One theory is that people learn things correctly whenever they get punished for making a mistake.
40 years later, Milgram's infamous experiment, obedience, is still taught in classrooms around the world.
All right, teacher, would you take the test and be seated in front of the shock generator, please, in the next room?
But the experiment was rigged.
The victim was an accomplice of the experiment. The victim, according to plan, provided many wrong answers. His verbal responses were standardized on tape, and each protest was coordinated to a particular voltage level on the shock generator. Now, as teacher, you were seated in front of this impressive-looking instrument, the shock generator. Its essential feature is a line of switches that goes from 15 volts to 450 volts, and a set of verbal designations that goes from slight shock to moderate shock, strong shock, very strong shock, intense shock, extreme intensity shock, and finally XXX, danger severe shock. Your job, the experimenter explains to you, is a word pair test. If he gets each answer correctly, fine, you move on to the next pair. But if he makes a mistake, you are instructed to give him an electric shock, starting with 15 volts, and you increase the shock one step on each error.
All right, that was it? Oh, okay, there's more.
That is incorrect. This one will be 195 volts.
The learner was hidden from the teacher by a partition.
Of course, this was all a simulation. Nothing was really happening. But the learner made very convincing sounds of pain as the shocks increased.
This will be at 3:30.
And Milgram found, surprisingly and rather horrifyingly, that the majority of people would actually go right to the very highest level if there was some pressure from a man in a white coat who said things like,
It's absolutely essential that you continue. Continue, please.
Let me out of here. My eyes bother me.
Go on.
Let me out.
in fact, about 65% of the people who he studied, who were normal volunteers from the ordinary population, actually gave the maximum number of volts.
This man was one of those 65%.
This one will be 195 volts. The correct one.
Let me out of here.
Slow. Dance.
Let me out of here. My eyes bother me. Let me out of here. You have no right to keep me here. Let me out. Let me out of here. Let me out.
Continue, please.
Let me out of
So
here.
he's looking at, pause it. Okay, this right here is the teacher. He's looking back at the experimenter like, look, this test subject is saying, let me out of here, man. You got me shocking him. Although, remember, there's no real shock. All right, but in his mind, he thinks it's real. In the teacher's mind, he's like, yo, this is wrong what we doing. But the dude's like, continue on. He didn't even shout at him. He said, continue on. Because he's in the authoritative seat. Wow. So he's telling him, nah, go ahead, man. Don't worry about it. You see how people just fall, like no kind of fortitude, no nothing to be like, hell, nah, I ain't doing this. Go ahead, come on.
Bother me. Let me out. Let me out.
Responsible for it. Red. That is incorrect. This will be at 3:30. The correct phrase is rich
Let me out of
boy.
here. Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me. Let me out, I tell you. Let me out of here. Let me out of here. You have no right to hold me here.
The next phrase is
Let me
fast.
out. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out of here. Let me out.
Bird,
Let me
car, train, plane.
Eventually, the learner pretended to be unconscious.
Continue, teacher.
That is incorrect. This will be 345. The correct answer is fast bird.
What we learned from that experiment is that people will actually do an awful lot when they're put under pressure from authority figures. And the problem is, of course, that when we obey the unjust authority figure, the person who gives us immoral commands, then, of course, awful things can go wrong.
That's it on that? Yep. All right. So that was the Milgram's experiment. Your friendly neighborhood white man, Esau, the damn devil that the Bible speaks of, that was his experiment. Now, how do we draw parallels between this and the First Purge? Let me up.
First of all, with the First Purge, I saw it Sunday, and I don't know how far y'all have talked into it thus far, but one of the things that really kind of stuck out to me as far as in the beginning is they had a selection process like you pointed to, Amiel, but one of the questions that kept coming up that they kept asking was, do you feel angry? Are you angry? Do you feel like something like, do you want to get out some aggression? Something like that, something along those lines. And with that, they got kind of those that were so at the bottom and so ready to just fly left to kind of skew the results to, okay, these are the ones that are ready to kill. They're ready to do whatever the authorities tell them to do.
Yeah, the coons and the thugs.
Exactly.
The coons and the thugs.
Exactly. Those are the ones that they wanted. They didn't want the ones that kind of had a thought of, well, I mean, it's bad, but it's not,
Anybody
we'll
that had the
by.
sense of some kind of sense of morality, common sense, they didn't want those.
They didn't want those.
They didn't
No,
want those.
no.
Those were weeded out.
It was absolutely a selection process.
Yeah, if you were somewhat called or deemed conscience, okay, you were weeded out. They wanted coons and they wanted nut job maniacs.
The opening scene was a nut job.
Hey, we're gonna get his picture. Let's pull his picture up. Go all the way up. Let's get Skeletor. First, let's get the Edomite. Let's get the experimenter. Just like we just watched in Milgram's experiment, right? With the experimenter, the teacher, and then the test subject, right? The learner, as they called it. This look at his face. Look at this. This was the experimenter. This was the Edomite in the movie that was basically doing what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Telling him, have you ever feel angry?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to participate in the purge? Would you like to go out and kill, strangle somebody? Did you ever have thoughts of murder, homicide? Have you ever thought about killing little children? And that's exactly how they talk.
Yep.
Okay.
Smooth words.
Go to the next picture. You got something, Amiel?
Oh, no. Just something that crossed my mind when you said that.
Yeah.
There's a movie on Netflix called The Push. It's
Oh,
not
yes.
a very long movie, but if you ever get a chance, watch it.
Oh,
It's a social experiment going right into this experiment that the doctor did. Same exact thing.
Really, the push?
Yes, the push, and it's good. It's good.
Okay. Oh, is that the one where? Oh, yeah, I'm thinking of something else. All right, I'll watch it. So this is Skeletor. This is one of the brothers that willfully participated.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have gave this brother just $10, he would have participated. This brother wanted to kill his brothers bad.
They could have gave us a fish sandwich.
Yeah,
and a grape soda.
he wanted to act out. This would be your thug. I can't even call him a coon really, because at the end he did something. He flipped.
Yeah.
But this brother was on level 100. He was crazy. Look at his face. All right, he actually recorded the first kill of the purge. We're gonna show that. All right, take that out. Go down. Get me the one with the sister. Get me right. Go up, right above her, right there. Play that video. Is that the one? No, that's not it. Because it's so short. That's only 9 seconds. There's another one. Is that it? No, that's the interview we played. I think that's it right there. Please tell me I put it up. All right. Yep, turn the volume up. So this sister right here, she was conscious. She did not participate in an event to murder her own people. She realized that the purge was just in the projects.
But she stayed there and got that $5,000.
Yeah, she stayed there. She got the 5. She didn't leave Staten Island.
Yep.
Okay. But she didn't participate in the murder of her people.
No, she did not.
She actually went to church. She went to the good old Christian church, which got Dylan roofed at the end. But that's another story. Okay, we're gonna get into that soon. All right, let's hear this part.
They have monetized and incentivized murder.
They have monetized and incentivized murder. They have monetized and gave you incentives for murder. Does that sound familiar? Think about it. Does that sound familiar? Prison system, what else? Hip-hop music, rap music, your drill music.
Just spoke on that last night.
We spoke on that yesterday. Your Bobby Shmurda. Just caught a body about a week ago. Now he's locked up. Wow. Because he snitched on himself in his song. Now he locked up.
Oh, wow.
He gave the rundown of his whole crew and all the dirt that they did in that one song. That made him famous, by the way. Now I got him locked up. But guess what? They knew that he was being investigated by the cops.
Yeah.
And Epic Records, the record label, they still signed him because he had a buzz on the street and he was getting millions of views on YouTube. So it was like, yo, we got to sign this kid. This kid is hot. So they gave him monetary funds for his death music. Same thing we're hearing. There's no difference. There's no difference. Although it's music, people still listen to it and go act out when they doing drive-bys and so forth.
Yep.
They listening to that music because they surely ain't playing no jazz when they doing those drive-bys. All right? They playing that drill music. Come on. She's saying this sister had son. Now, this is the kind of sister you want to marry.
It's a revolutionary sister.
This is a revolutionary sister. This is your Assata Shakur. Okay? This is your Assata Shakurs, man. She said turn away from their money. She's protesting against the organization that's putting out the purge. Okay, come on. That we, the impoverished. So she acknowledges that they're impoverished.
They're the poor.
She knows that. That's why they chose that demographic.
Yeah.
All right, they're sheep led to the slaughter. Come on. You hear that? This is another way to keep black people down. Now, you see those 3 cops that they just showed? Those were Edomite cops. They always push the Edomite cops in our neighborhood.
She did
all right, so
but she still stayed for that $5,000.
Exactly. Now, the reason I brought up the cops is there's a scene which, unfortunately, I could not record on my phone because there was problems at home with the Fire Stick. But when you brothers and sisters go out and watch the movie, once again, spoiler alert, you're going to see a scene at the end where cops, Edomite cops, white cops, were participating in the purge.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you why. Let it play. Keep going. All right. Close this out. Go up. Click on that picture. All right. This is a screenshot. This is not a video.
It'll load sometimes.
At any time, Lemuel, Amiel, y'all could feel free to interject since both of y'all seen the movie. All right. Now, this brother right here, he was what we call a drug kingpin. The brother on the right side of the screen with the chain on, okay? And he did not participate. Although he, like the sister said, you murder your people 364 days out the year. Right? That's what she said, right?
Right.
By selling them drugs. Although he was a thug, he was selling death to his people by way of drugs. He went out and fought for his people.
And I thought that was interesting, too.
Yes.
In
the end.
A 180.
At first, he was protecting his fort, his headquarters, where all his drugs was being distributed. He had people armed to the T just in case people try to come in and kill them for money and drugs and so forth. But there was a situation where he went to go look for that sister who just spoke. Her little brother ran out. Right. And he went to go look for her because he was actually dating. He used to date that sister. Right. So that's where she got her gangsterism from. You know, she had more testicular fortitude than some of the men in the movie. Yeah. So he went to go look for the young man and found out that the people that were actually purging were not blacks at all, but they were Edomites. Yeah. One in particular had on blackface, and I wish I could have got this. One Edomite came up in there with a black face, and he looked like Jake. He had a hoodie on, so all you see is the dark complexion. You couldn't really see that it was a black mask. It was a black face. Wow. You had cops. You had white Edomite cops participating in the pledge. Yeah. Klansmen? Although they participate in the pledge every day while they're on duty. But I mean, there's no difference now. Now they could just get away with it. They don't got to worry about court and losing their job or being sent on desk duty and all of that. They participate in killing blacks willfully on the purge. They had mercenaries. Yeah. They had mercenaries from other country with Russian accents. Right. Yep. Now, where did we hear that before? A couple of months ago, we heard that. Going on now, we heard that. Now, I haven't come across any solid proof on that, but you can't put it across Esau because Esau is the devil that the Bible speaks of. But there was a rumor going around that in Chicago,
that's what I wanted to say.
A majority of the killings were not blacks on blacks at all. Yeah. Some were BDs, GDs. We know that's going on. Old block versus this block, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the killings were mercenaries, posed as gangsters. Yeah. Killing the people and then setting up evidence a certain way to make it look like it was one gang against an ex.
With this movie, you have to figure, since it being an island and everything, because remember in the beginning scenes, the sister called her brother like, "Hey, you gone yet?" He's like, "Yeah, I took the last boat gone out." So it was no more boats. So now, with them bringing in, with the Klan, the police, the mercenaries, the military, all of them there, you have to figure either those are the people that live there, or they brought those people in to exterminate the blacks there.
Exactly, because they are Edomites who live in Staten Island. So like you said, they probably drove over there because they received intel that the purge was just going on in that particular location, in the projects, in the box, just like the Skinner's experiment. Yeah. It was just going on over there, okay? And there was another scene where they ran up in the church. The church was supposed to be neutral ground. Yeah. They ran up in there. They pulled a Dylan roof, ran up in there and sprayed the whole place. And the church was full of just black and Hispanics. There was not one Edomite inside of that church. And they had on hoods. Yeah. The Klansmen came out and was purging. Yep. Killing blacks at will, man. You know what's crazy? You know what's hilarious, man? Well, not hilarious, but you know what's bugged out? They gave Nate Parker hell with Birth of a Nation. They reached back in the drawer and pulled out that accusation for rape. Mind you, the brother had many movies before Birth of a Nation. They never pulled that out. But a movie that's meant to inspire blacks, talk about history, talk about a true revolutionary man, not a coon, but Nat Turner, the great late Nathaniel Turner, they demonized them in the media for that.
So if they can't kill you physically, they'll kill your character.
Exactly.
That's what they do.
They even messed with the tickets. It'll be 15 people inside the movie theater in that room to watch the movie, and then you go to the clerk. Oh, it's sold out. Yeah. Why? Because they received that permission from authority, just like the Milgram's experiment. Yep. Authority says to do it, and you willfully do it because you're like sheep, because you're so dumb. So the reason I was bringing that up is because they were complaining about Nate Parker's movie, but this movie blatantly showed the agenda to exterminate black people within 24 hours. They put it right out there in your face. But just like that dude said, what's his name again? The dude that said, "This is America." What's the name of that? Childish Gambino said, "This is America, and this is what it is." All right, they forbid Nate Parker to bring out that movie, but meanwhile they got a movie with an agenda to exterminate blacks. Crazy.
And notice, whenever the white people came and started doing the killing, they all had their faces covered.
Yes, they had their faces covered.
Every last one of them.
Every last one of them. Some of them chose the KKK outfit. Some of them were police officers in their SWAT uniforms with their face covered. And some of them were some of them were running around in blackface. You thought it was black people, but it was actually white people. Okay, remember, man, art imitates life, life imitates art. Esau don't put these movies out there just for no reason. Yeah. It's actually going on, or it has gone on in the past, or it will happen in the future.
Because you got to think, the next day after the purge, you got to come to the grocery store and see me. I don't want you knowing that I was trying to kill you the night before.
Exactly.
The next day, your child got to come to school.
Yeah.
Talk about me.
Hey, the scriptures talk about that on Deuteronomy 28, 48, hunger in all things. Yep. You got to come to me the next day, so I'm going to hide my face from you.
I'm going to hide my face today so you don't be mad tomorrow.
Yes. So, go ahead.
And remember, the scripture talks about, I forget exactly where, but it talks about secret plots and popular persuasion.
Yeah,
so that, to your point, when they have these mercenaries and things like that coming in to the projects to exterminate our people, like you said, life imitates art. So just because we don't know when it's on the surface, the scripture says they got secret plots.
But you know what's crazy? A lot of people watching online, and I'm not talking about the repentant Israelite of our people, but the coons online, because we know there are coons online. A lot of them will hear that and be like, yo, these brothers are conspiracy theorists or they bugged out of their minds. They talking about mercenaries in Chicago.
Is history.
You acting like it can't happen. Esau's the damn devil. Guess what? Our foreparents in the 60s never thought that they would inject them with damn syphilis, have them suffering for generations. You never thought that would be possible. You can't put nothing past this man. The Most High tells us that. Okay, that's for you coons online, man. All right, come on. So back to what I was saying with this brother. So this brother finally came to his senses, although he had some sort of black consciousness in him. He came out, when he found out that it was Esau killing his people, he came out with his goons, and they basically annihilated all the mercenaries. Okay, they killed each and every last one of them. All the KKK, all the crooked Edomite cops, they all got put to death. But one point I wanted to bring out, because some people might say, well, why don't we do the same thing? Why don't we pick up arms and go out and fight the white supremacists? Because I was listening to a lady today on YouTube as I was driving. I was driving somewhere and I was listening to YouTube, and she was making a commentary on the situation in St. Louis with the black sisters that got the black sister that got kicked and beat up by the Arab store owners. And she said, yeah, so you got these it's funny because it's crazy how the Most High work. As I'm driving, I'm leaving a comment like, hey, shalom, sis, this is a good page. Subscribe to IsraelUnite.org. You're an Israelite. As soon as I'm in mid-text, as I'm texting and I'm listening to her talk, she said, yeah, so you got these Hebrew niggerites.
Oh, wow.
She said, you got these Hebrew niggerites, this captain. She said, these captains, I don't know what camp she's talking about. I don't think she's talking about us, though. She said, this captain talking about we got to come against the white man and come together, stop buying. She's like, well, this wasn't a white man. This was an Arab who did it. But the brother was right. We still have to come against Esau. First, we got to keep the commandments. But by us keeping the commandments, we're coming against Esau.
Exactly.
Okay? So I was like, I still sent to the website, but I was like, these sisters, they ain't going to get it anyway. So I wanted to delete the text, man, when I heard that thing, man. But I hit send. You never know. The sister might repent. So the reason I brought that out is she was talking about arming, getting guns. Brothers and sisters, we cannot fight this man The Most High set this man up just for this. The Most High is increasing his ammunitions and his weapons of warfare so the Most High could have a fun with him when he returns. Okay, the Most High is going to take this man down. Okay? Not us. Not us. And the reason I want to make reference to that with this movie is explain the part what happened when he was meeting up with his brothers and they just took out one group of mercenaries. What happened?
Oh, with the drones?
Thank you, Amio.
Oh, yeah,
Let me all is lost.
No,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It was 2 days ago. I
All right,
didn't
go
get to
ahead.
see it today. But yeah, so they all met up and they stopped the car because they was finna go into the projects. They were like right there in front of the projects. And they saw the mercenaries getting out or driving up. And so, you know, they was talking or whatever. And then they heard this buzzing sound. So they looked up and they saw these drones.
Well, that was after they killed the mercenaries. They killed them for remember, they didn't kill all of them, they killed the group.
Oh, you
remember
talking
when
about
they rolled in
end.
the smoke bomb?
Oh, you talking
and
about
then
at the end. Yeah.
This
the
was
end?
before the end. I'll
I
explain.
saw it 2 days ago.
And then
Y'all do it.
they shot up the mercenaries, and then it was recorded on the drone.
Yeah.
So the Edomite, the devil that was standing next to the psychologist, he's the one who secretly sent out Esau. She wasn't with it. She wasn't with that. She was part of the experiment, but that was kept from her. Right. Okay? So she didn't know that was going to happen. They actually put her to death because she was resisting that. Okay? So the drone seen that, and then the drone came and shot up half of his crew.
Yeah.
And he got down and actually rolled up under the car. Remember, he sought refuge under the SUV.
But them drone things are real.
Yeah.
I don't forget what kind of drones they call, but they're equipped with guns and everything.
They use them in the military. I seen YouTube videos of Edomites from their crib, like they playing Call of Duty with Ishmaelites in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Just talking. Oh, hey, Bib. Hey, Bob. There's one over there. Yeah, so what did you do yesterday? Yeah, you seen the game? Yeah, that Super Bowl was great. Hey, Bobby, look right there. He's trying to hide under the car. So that's what they were doing. Okay? So get me what's this? What are you guys pulling up? Oh, you found it. Oh, okay. That's one right there. Well, he didn't have, I don't know if those lips was real. I don't know what that was. That's from the movie? Oh, it's tattooed on. Okay. Look at that. Blackface. A lot of them had that, man. A lot of them had that in the movie. And the reason I brought that up, brothers and sisters, to let you know, although we can bring guns to Esau, right? He'll come come to us with drones. He controls the satellites. He has the drones. We don't. Stop with the let's take up arms. Even if it's legal, we will still get annihilated. What we can do, though, is keep the laws and wait for Christ. That's what we can do. And that's what's commanded of us to do. Look at that. Another black face in the purge. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. Now, show the video of the first kill. The first kill.
No, that's not.
No, that's the party. So, show the first kill.
At the ATM.
It should be above it. Right here. So a Latino got killed. All right. And he said to air, yeah, play it one more time. Put the volume up. That's the psychologist. That's the brother. That's the Edomite that was spearheading the thing. Killed the Latino brother. Boom. And he said, get it out there, meaning get it to the media that this was successful. This was the first purge. And who was the person to catch the first body? That nut job Skeletor that we showed in the beginning with the orange jumpsuit, the prison uniform.
And the reason they wanted to put it up because they needed to incentivize the killing.
Exactly.
They needed to jumpstart the killing.
Jumpstart the killing and show that it was successful. Now, later on, remember I said that Edomite woman that we showed, did you find the COINTELPRO kills white woman? Look it up. That Edomite lady, she was later killed because she was like, hold on, something is wrong, because she was like, at first, Jake wasn't participating. Jake was eating fried chicken, drinking Kool-Aid laced with alcohol, drinking that Smirnoff, smoking, sniffing that white. That's what Jake was doing. Jake was not participating in the purge. Only one person, and that was Skeletor. In one scene, there was a group of Jake brothers that ran up. Was it a jewelry store? It was a store. He was like, he gave the store owner the option to stay, protect the store and get killed, or run off. The dude ran off because all he had was a shotgun. Right. These dudes had AKs and guns for days. They just wanted money because that's what Jake was behind. Look, I don't want to really catch a body. I just want to run in there and get some chains. I want to get some gold grills. I want to get some pinky rings. I want to get some rims for my car. That's what I want. So when the Edomite lady was like, look, they're not participating because she was just testing behavior. That's it. So she wasn't trying to trigger anything or putting anything out there to make them participate. She's like, look, they're not participating. The Edomite, the devil, the dude that was next to her, he's the one that sent out the KKK, the crooked cops, and the other Edomites in there to purge. Okay? So they killed her, but they didn't show that purge. He had the mercenaries kill her. They didn't show that on the news, but they showed the first kill with the black guy. Because what happens when you keep showing black people in the media? What happens, Lemuel?
All of a sudden, we're labeled as, all we're known as thugs, all we are is killers, we're monsters. That's all we're labeled as.
Exactly, and what that shows us in a bad light, and it persuades the minds of other people, even the other nations. Okay, it causes us to hate each other and kill each other, right?
Because that's how we see each other as just killers and thugs
and
everything else.
And what it does, it desensitizes our people. It desensitizes other people, the other nations. Every day you turn on the news, black killing blacks, black killing blacks, black killing. Soon you're not going to care. A few stories you might feel a little sad, a little sorrow. Little Johnny, 10 years old, got hit with a stray bullet because 2 gangs of warring. But eventually, you're like, that's all they do anyway. Change the channel. You know? It desensitizes you. That's why the Edomite said, run that, play that part, put that in there. But when the Edomite lady got killed in the purge, they didn't put that.
They destroy. He said destroy the
footage.
He said destroy the footage.
Yes, because showing a white woman getting killed is something valuable. Because white lives matter and black lives don't. Okay? What else? What else did I want to show? Go ahead. Speak a little.
Yeah, so just kind of going through my notes, because like I said, I saw it Sunday, so I was kind of taking notes as I was watching it. That one thing. Messi, who was the, I can't remember if that's the lady or the guy. I think it was the lady. But Messi, as you're watching it and as the scientists are speaking, they had been pondering this experiment for years before they actually put it out. That's how Esau does. They think, and we was talking about this on the radio show, even with how rap music having changed back in the late 80s, early 90s, they had been pondering that for years prior to actually implementing the change in rap music. Same thing in the Purge. Prior to them actually putting out the Purge, they had been pondering. She didn't say exactly how many years, but for years before, they said we've been talking about this for years leading up to this point, and that's what Esau does. They are deep thinkers. They're deep thinkers. So them trying to destroy us is not an overnight thought, and then they just go and do something. They're meditating on that thing for years before they actually put it out and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Exactly. You have to think. They've been trying to kill us with food. They've been trying to kill us with the water. They've been trying to kill us all kind of ways. So now they just legalize murder to speed up the process. Because why? Esau knows the scriptures. Esau knows that if we group ourselves together, come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, that it's over for them.
Absolutely. And that's our force. That's our ammunition. You want to know where your AK is at? Your AK is the Bible. Now, those of you who have guns legally, because in your state you can have it legally, hey, you have the right to bear arms to defend yourself. We understand that. Just make sure you follow the law of the land. Okay? Okay, here we go. This article right here, could you send it to Jonathan? The reason I'm pulling up this article is because, as you see, the psychologist who spearheaded this first purge along with that Edomite from that organization, she was killed because she was against them sending in the white supremacists to annihilate the blacks because the blacks were not participating in the purge. They weren't participating in it. They were too busy partying and committing fornication and all sorts of stuff. They weren't participating. So they killed her to let you know that the white man will put to death his own if you get in the way of his agenda.
Yep. Yes.
And a good example of that is, I remember this article from a long time ago. This is the COINTELPRO. We all familiar with that. All right, with J. Edgar Hoover, the devil that the Bible speaks of. Go down. Okay, so stop right there. This was about Jean Seberg. She was an actress who financially supported behind the scenes the Black Panther Party, and also it wasn't SNCC, AIM. She supported AIM and she supported the Black Panther Party. Okay, so they put out a smear campaign on Jean Seberg for her support. And then she later ended up committing suicide. Her baby was stillborn, I believe, or she had a miscarriage because of the stress, okay? Because they put out a lie on her that she was sleeping with, I believe it was Fred Hampton. They said that she was sleeping with Fred and it tarnished her. She couldn't get movie roles. Wow. Edomites down the block was calling her a nigger lover, and she was getting watermelons and fried chicken thrown at her. They chastised the hell out this Edomite woman, okay? And it says COINTELPRO memo, and this is from the actual government website. This is not a conspiracy theories for you nuts, you nutty coons out there. This is real, all right? It says COINTELPRO memo proposing a plan to expose the pregnancy of actress Jean Seberg, a financial supporter of the Black Panther Party, hoping to possibly cause her embarrassment or tarnish her image with the general public. Covert campaigns to publicly discredit activists and destroy their interpersonal relationships were a common tactic used by COINTELPRO agents. And I think her husband left her. Scroll down. Actually, go back up, I'm sorry. Click on the memo, on the actual letter, see what happens. Okay, it said, blow it up just a little. Actually, I can see it. Something requests Bureau authority to forward a letter from a fictitious person to Hollywood, California. Gossip columnist to publicize the pregnancy of Jean Seberg, well-known white movie actress by, they highlighted in black because it's classified, black classified. And what happens, Esau, after a certain amount of years, they'll allow classified documents to come out. Just like the JFK papers that came out.
On Martin Luther King.
That Martin Luther Trump released some, but some he couldn't because there was a lot of figures whose names are in that document who are still alive today, like your boy George W. Bush. Yeah. To possibly cause her embarrassment and tarnish her image with the general public. Information from indicated that Seberg was for months pregnant by highlighted. Okay, some other sites said it was Fred Hampton. They pushed that lie out there. To protect the sensitive source of information from possibly compromise and to ensure the success of your plan, Bureau feels it would be better to wait approximately 2 additional months until Seberg's pregnancy would be obvious to everyone. These guys have, this is some deep thought.
Yeah.
And guess what? They accomplished what they came for. She ended up having a miscarriage or something like that. And I think her husband left her because he thought that the baby in her stomach was really from a Black Panther.
It's going to be chocolated.
Come to find out, when the baby came out, stillborn or whatever, however they got the baby out, the baby looked like an Edomite.
Yeah.
And she killed herself after. She killed herself. She couldn't take it anymore. And they drove her to do so, all because she was supporting the Black Panther. So the reason I brought this out was to show you what happened to the Edomite woman in the Purge, that Esau don't care. They will murk their own if you get in the way of their agenda. All right? Okay, close that out. Okay, so show me the video clip with the party. All right? Now, this is a spoiler alert. If you have kids next to the computer screen, this is time. Hold up, pause it. This is time to get them away. All right, there's some not complete nudity, but there's nudity. Okay, come on. This is what Jake was doing. This is what Jake was doing during the Purge. Nobody was purging. Nobody was killing.
This is at the beginning. This is when the Purge first started.
Yeah, first started.
Sundown.
Everybody was just partying. It was like, man, I don't got no problem with you, man.
Everybody
Hey, man,
we good.
Hey, here, you want some Belvini? You want some Belvini or you want some vodka?
We all getting money right now.
Yeah, you want some Henny? You want some
Free
Henny,
money.
man? I ain't gonna kill you, man. Forget the Purge, man. That's the white man stuff, man. He's the natural born killer. All right, he's the American nightmare. Okay, they were partying, man. You know they had to have some good Judah fried chicken over there.
Oh, yeah.
They had to have some fried chicken over there, some fruit punch in the corner. Jake was just getting it in, man. Come on, press play. And pause. Ignore the baby in the background crying. All right? Close that out. So that's that. I wanted to show you that Jake was partying, man. Jake wasn't purging. Esau had to come in and purge because Jake wasn't doing nothing. Yeah. Okay? So, and they wanted to sway public opinion so they could have a second purge and a third purge every year. That's where you get the first Purge movie, the second Purge movie, the third, and then this one.
Because if the niggas is buck wild, we need to continue this thing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
They used us to push it. To push it through all
worldwide.
Yeah, to push the population control.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was a population control experiment method.
That's what I wanted to say. One of the things that they said that they brought out verbatim was that America was overpopulated. And so they started in the black community, black and Hispanic
community. They always
community.
start there. Always start there.
Always.
Okay, so when you hear Bill Gates, when you hear Prince Charles talking about population control, you better believe they're gonna start first with us. That's why they went over there with that big pharmaceutical Pfizer. Went over there to Nigeria, injecting people with meningitis. You know, that's what's going on in Flint, Michigan with the water. They're gonna start right with God's people first, because we're actually the majority, not the minority. Now, I wanted to bring this out. Scroll down. Scroll down. Stop right there. Let's get that first article right there with that dude from the Goonies. Look at this guy. You sisters are desperate, man. Black women have become desperate. There's a black man for every black woman out there. Just be patient. For a sister to run up and hook up with a dude like this, you got to be kidding me. So the reason I'm bringing this out here is white supremacists was in the movies. Cops was in the movies, killing our people. Okay? This is an article from white supremacists killed black woman for threat to tell everyone he has HIV. She was sexing him. Scroll down. An alleged white supremacist in Kansas killed a black woman who threatened to tell everyone that he's HIV positive, authorities said. Ronald Lee Kidwell, 47, told police, oh God, what's going on? All right. Okay, scroll down. When I get mad, I make the exorcist look like a bee. Whoa. Scroll up, and he's right about that. Scroll up. Scroll up. Look at this guy's face, man. I remember, what was that movies? It was called The Goonies, right?
Yeah,
The Goonies. Remember that dude with the eye?
Yeah, the monster.
And he was like, that dude. He looked just like the Goonies. He looked just like the Goonie. Oh, man, he looked just like the Goonie brother, man. All right, close that out. So this is white supremacists now. Ever since Trump got elected, although it was going on way before Trump, but now they feel more emboldened.
Now.
Okay? Get me the other one. This brother right here. This brother went to go use the bathroom and got killed by a white supremacist. A Edomite with a hat was inside the bathroom, ran out, shot him. Go down. I don't even think they found him. His name was Frederick Taft.
They might be hiding him.
Okay, and this was in Los Angeles, and this pop is kicking off in Los Angeles, all because of the thing with Maxine Waters. I forgot what they call that white supremacist group that wanted to protest against her, and Jake ran them off. So they mad because now Jake is coming with armed legal guns, and they protecting our people.
But they're going to change the law here soon.
Exactly. So what's going on now, these white supremacists, now they trying to catch you on the humble, catch you when you by yourself, and then get away. So this brother was killed in the bathroom by a white man. Come on, come out of that. Then you got the other one. I didn't post that, but y'all could look it up at home, brothers and sisters. There was a brother that was killed. He was shot by a known white supremacist in Florida, and they used the stand your ground law.
Oh yeah.
Over a parking dispute.
Spot.
The brother's girlfriend was in the handicap parking spot. The white guy was arguing with her. He wasn't trying to park there because he was handicapped. He just felt like he had full authority. Like, what are you doing? And he was cursing her out. Blah 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 blah. Somebody in the store told the brother, "Hey, that dude is bothering your wife." So he came out the store. He pushed him. The dude fell. It was a hard push. He fell. He backed up. He was walking away. The dude pulled out a gun because he said he felt threatened for his life and shot him. That is complete BS because the black dude was retreating. It's not like he was going to him to like try to stomp him out or something. Yeah. He just pushed him and he was about to walk away. The dude shot him,
he got shot
killed him.
Stand
your ground law in Florida. Same thing with Trayvon Martin. Stand your ground law with the white supremacists. And the sheriff, the sheriff was like this guy's lawyer. Oh, he slammed him. That wasn't a slam. A slam is to pick something up and slam. A push is a push. You got to watch the way these guys talk, man. All right? Now, get me the two Baltimore police. Why are we showing this article? Because in the movie The First Purge, you had white supremacist cops participating in the purge.
Exactly.
Two Baltimore police gun trace task force officers sentenced. Jenkins received 25 years. Taylor gets 18. All praises to the Most High. They should have got the death penalty. Okay, by way of torture. Yeah, just play it. So I don't got to read the whole thing. Is it
Two members of the Baltimore Police Gun Trace Task Force have been sentenced. First up today, Sergeant Wayne Jenkins was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison.
Devil number one.
He had taken part in a breathtaking amount of
and
crime.
Press pause. I think he was a lieutenant or sergeant. I'm not sure. But he was the one that was in charge of the task force. And he was influencing covetous, weak, no testicular fortitude Jake officers to go along with this. And falsely arrest and falsely accuse black people of doing stuff that they were not doing.
Yeah.
Okay? And planting false evidence. Come on.
Measurable impact on the citizens of Baltimore that perverted the criminal justice system in the city. Jenkins apologized for his part. He sobbed and turned to the crowd and said he had made so many mistakes. He said he knows that he deserves to be punished and deserves to go to jail. Jenkins was facing a maximum of 30 years in prison, but was given 25. Then in the afternoon, former Detective Marcus Taylor was also sentenced. He's one of the two officers
Look at this guy's
who took
face.
the case to trial.
Probably was a herb in high school. Who knows? Now he got some authority, just like the Milgram's experiment. He received authority from the other police who probably outranked him to go along, turn a blind side, and just play along. Come on.
to maintain his innocence. Prosecutors asked for him to receive between 15 and 19 years, and he ended up getting 18. He addressed the judge and told her that he maintains his innocence and he's going to keep fighting. We'll have more on this story on BaltimoreSun.com.
All right, close that out. And there was many more. There was many more involved with that. You know, all praises to the Most High. They got caught, and I pray that some of those people that they arrested finds them in jail.
And don't be disillusioned by the Edomite saying he felt sorry or felt bad or whatever the case is. He only felt sorry that he got caught.
Exactly.
He didn't feel sorry for what he did or the lives that he affected. He only felt bad the fact that, dang, they got me.
And it was more than two. It was a whole bunch of them involved with that. But you had two Edomites that were spearheaders of that task force, okay? And Jake fell right into the Milgram's experiment with that one, with the authority. Listen to authority figure and do evil. When the scripture says don't follow a multitude to do evil. Get me the next one. Dirty Detective, New York City. Get me this one. How much time we got? About 10 minutes. All right, we got time. What's up with this? Scroll up. It's not loading? All right, look at this guy's face. Looks like a puzzle piece. Aged so horribly.
They age like bananas.
Horrible, man.
They get old.
Look at this guy. Go up. Is there a video on this Edomite devil? He would have probably participated in the purge. Come on, up.
What's going on?
It's not showing? I'll just read it then if it's causing problems.
All right,
What's the volume? On the right side of the screen.
On your military right.
The Brooklyn District Attorney's Office is reviewing 170 cases, 70 cases from Detective Louis Scarcella, Italian, time as a homicide detective. 13 people were probably more, 13 people were wrongfully convicted from cases he handled. The shady investigations involved tainted evidence, misleading testimony, or forced confessions. The city and state have spent $53.3 million in legal settlements to 8 of those people. Damn. Scarcella, 66, is now retired and feels he has done nothing wrong. Of course, he's an Edomite. What else? I've done absolutely nothing wrong. I stand by my cases 100%. Why? Because they portray us in a bad light in the media. And all of these nations are desensitized to us. So,
you're just a nigga.
Like I said, exactly, we're expendables. The statute of limitations is long past for charging him, even if he had broken any laws, though authorities haven't said he did.
They done paid out $53 million.
That don't make sense. How you paid out $53.3 million,
But
13 cases were overturned, and people were released from prisons, but he didn't break any law. Wow, unbelievable. Shabaka Shakur, who served 28 years before a judge vacated his double murder conviction, said he is disgusted. He better sue. A jury found Shakur guilty after Scarcella testified that Shakur confessed to him about killing 2 men. That's some evil stuff, man. Shakur said he was innocent and that he never made any confession. He's still sitting back and collecting a pension. He's still getting paid, even though he cost the state millions and millions of dollars. Wow.
Because he retired beforehand. They're illegally bound to.
Wow. You see, man, there's stuff that I want to say, but I'm not. I'm going to stay in the spirit, and I know we online, but could not be me. God forbid. God, please spare me. I don't know. I would erupt. I would spontaneously combust if I knew that dude was still out getting pensions. And oh, man. All right, close that out. So your boy Scarcella and the other 2 Edomites from the Baltimore Task Force, they would have probably participated in the purge. Yeah. Just like those cops we seen in the movie participating in the purge.
Exactly.
Killing innocent black people. Play the next devil.
So that thing is real, man. The purge is based on real life stuff, man.
Yep, real life situations. Art imitates life. Life imitates art. There's a reason why they say that, because it's true. All right, this is our brother James Prince. Lord willing, he repents. Jay Prince speaks on DEA agent who allegedly tried to murder him. This dude right here caught a lot of bodies. He's actually facing conviction, and he's a cop, crooked cop. Wow. Look at his face. You can see the evil in his face. Come on, press play.
Oh, yeah. They finally caught the 2 DEA agents assigned to take my life over a decade ago. The two, Jack Schumacher and Chad Scott, were both mentioned on 2 songs, Look Into My Eyes and Gangsta Shit by Scarface.
Jack Schumacher and
on
Chad Scott. I believe this is Jack. This might be Jack. I'm not sure, but one of them was like a hitman. He was like a hired hitman, and he was a cop. And it was looking to kill Jay Prince because of his heavy influence right here in Texas, I believe in Houston, with Rap-A-Lot Records. Come on.
These so-called gangster DEA agents years ago because of their threats on my life and many other criminal acts they committed. I hired an investigator to investigate Jack Schumacher and discovered that he had killed 8 people on duty. This is highly unusual for an officer to use.
He killed 8 people on duty, and he remained on duty. So guess what? Chad Scott was participating in the purge every day.
Just killing niggas.
Just killing Negroes and getting paid for it. Come on.
Times. As an officer, he was never convicted of murder.
Never convicted.
And was promoted
because the prosecutors did a piss poor job. They selected dumb, stupid, idiotic, moronic, nincompoop jurors that could not find this man guilty after he caught 8 bodies. That's unheard of sometimes.
So an outside investigator had to do the job of what?
An outside investigator. And Jay Prince, he actually went to the FBI and told them straight up, look, I'm afraid for my life. And if I come across this dude, I'm going to catch a body. I'm just giving y'all a heads up. Because he had bodyguards and so forth. Oh, wow. Come on.
To a DEA agent only to kill more. So the hitman and his sidekick, Chad Scott, were assigned to destroy me and Rap-A-Lot Records around the same time Murder, Inc. and Death Row was being attacked by law enforcement agencies.
Stop. Now, if you watched his interview, Murder, Inc., which was Irv Gotti and them, Death Row Records, Suge Knight, and Rap-A-Lot Records by Jay Prince, they wanted to come together and build something powerful. They wanted to cut off Esau as the main execs and do their own thing, create their own stuff. Once Esau got wind of it, Murder Inc.'s headquarters got raided by FBI and something about taxes. And then Death Row Records, we know what happened to that.
Yeah.
And then this man was being harassed by these people.
You can't have the Negroes leave the plantation.
Can't have them.
You cannot.
Esau does not want us to leave the plantation. Continue. Press play. That was it? All right, so that was it. They were planning to do something big. You can watch the full interview, I believe, on Vlad TV. Okay? Esau is the devil that the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
All right? Once again, brothers and sisters, if you have not watched it, go and watch the Purge movie. Go and watch it with spiritual eyes open. Spiritual eyes open.
Yeah.
Okay? Oh, I forgot to bring out the lovely sister, Nia Wilson, who had her throat cut by a white supremacist. By a white supremacist. Okay? And they already tried to tarnish her in the media just because of a damn cell phone case.
Yeah.
Esau's the devil, man. You gotta go. You gotta go. If the Most High is gonna send 1 trillion nuclear missiles here, we need 2 trillion.
Finish him.
You have to go. All right? So, all right, brothers, y'all got any closing statements?
Last thing I got out of the movie. One thing that Esau brought out, they said, this is one of the guy scientists, he said, one group has to suffer to save the other group. What was he saying? One group, Jake, has to suffer in order to save the white race.
Just in case you don't know what Jake is, new brothers following us online, that's so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. All right? We come from the seed of Jacob. That's why we say Jake, 12 tribes of Israel. All right? That's heavy. One group of people have to
has
suffer
to
to
suffer
save
to
them.
save another people.
Now you're
group.
wondering
But
why
they
we're
got it
suffering.
backwards.
It's crazy, and it's only going to get worse. Brothers and sisters, keep the commandments and the faith of our Lord and Savior, the Messiah. Spread this word. Share this class on your pages. Subscribe to IUIC Dallas YouTube, In the Scripts Facebook, IUIC Dark Ages, and what else? Anything else?
Original royalty.
Original royalty. What else?
Peculiar-place.com.
Hebrew Market.
Hebrew Market.
IUIC Russia.
Oh, yeah. We also
IUIC
got
Russia.
IUIC Russia for our people scattered in the former USSR countries that speak the Russian language and not too much English. Okay? All praises to the Most High. Israel on the rise. Israel on the rise. Israel forever. Esau, you ain't stopping a damn thing. All right?
That's right.
And with that, IUIC Dallas Reloaded in the Scripts.
Shalom.
Shalom.
You're listening to In the Scripts Reloaded.